Greetings to all of humanity. It's really a joy, it's a pleasure as usual to be out here in nature, always bringing this message of emancipation to you, whereby I'm pointing you to look no other place but to look inwardly to discover that your real identity is your divinity. Thus the reason why I want to speak to you and the importance of having a vivid imagination to live a life of prosperity. Now, as we all know, Abdullah, the black mystic from Ethiopia, he was Neville Goddard's mentor, and he taught Neville Goddard the importance of having a vivid imagination so that he would be able to live a life of prosperity by learning how he can create his reality consciously. Now, there are millions of people all around the world who are now getting to understand the lectures that were done by Neville Goddard, and who are now coming to understand the true interpretation of the Bible, that the Bible addresses the human mind and must be interpreted psychologically. For the Bible is not literal, neither is the Bible secular history, and that the Bible have no reference to anyone who existed thousands of years ago or to any actual event that took place on earth thousands of years ago. That from Genesis 1 to Revelation 22, it's all a great psychological drama, and it's all have to do with the human psyche. Therefore, many get to understand that when the Bible speaks of Joseph in Genesis, the dreamer, and he was given the coat of many colors, many people are coming to understand that these stories, they have their esoteric meanings and that they must be interpreted psychologically. Now, I myself was given that coat of many colors, and it was given to me as a rainbow over my head, and it's like a halo. When I was 17 years of age, it was given to me when that voice spoke to me and said to me, I am he who have been spoken of old. Okay, and I'm come. And that's when I had my dream of heaven and hell. And that's why I can tell you that heaven and hell, they are all states of mind. And this body is the hell in which you are trapped. And you must escape this hell. Okay, or this grave. And you'll be able to say, oh death, where is thy sting? Oh grave, where is thy victory? That's the reason why I can stand here and tell you the importance of having a vivid imagination, as Abdullah taught Neville Goddard. Now, we know that Neville had a burning desire to travel to Barbados in the time of the Great Depression. And he had no money. He had no work. He had no means of going when we look at the things that he would need to take the trip. But Abdullah, who understands the importance of having a vivid imagination, knowing that imagination is God in man, Abdullah would have used his imagination on behalf of Neville Goddard. And that is why he told Neville that he must have a vivid imagination and put his imagination to work by sleeping in his mother's home in Barbados every night that he goes to bed while living in New York, and to walk the streets of New York as if he's walking the streets of Barbados, as if he's walking Palm Line Street and Coconut Lane Street and so on. And with all of the high-rise buildings that was in New York at that time compared to those in Barbados, because I'm living in the Caribbean also very close to Barbados, just 35 minutes away by plane, okay? And we are actually 100 miles away, 100 miles west of Barbados. Okay, so the buildings here are like, say, 2 stories and 3 stories tall, but in America they're high-rise buildings gone up thousands of feet. And he had to have such a vivid imagination that he had to take these high-rise buildings and bring them down to the level of what it would be like in Barbados. Night after night, Neville would go to bed in his imagination, and then, to cut a long story short, he manifests the trip. And it's all been done through having a vivid imagination. So the real point I want to get across to you is that all of us have the power to live in prosperity. All of us have the power to change our state. All of us have the power to create the perfect environment, or the environment that we would love to dwell in. And there is no hierarchy. There is no aristocracy, because this power has been given to each and every one. And that power is within. And it's the pearl of great price. So Abdullah taught Neville how to discover the pearl of great price to be his imagination. But by practicing using his imagination more and more, he'll get to trust his imagination more. He'll get to embrace his imagination more, which is actually his higher self, his Christ self, his immortal self. And then by exercising that power, he will develop a more vivid imagination. And that is really the lesson I'm trying to get across to you. To practice, practice, practice until you come to realize that you have such a vivid imagination that things will be manifested in your life in a rapid way. And you will develop such a relationship with your intuition that you will never go wrong, because it's only when we go against our intuition that we will go wrong in this life. So my brother, my sisters, basically all I'm trying to tell you is to have a vivid imagination. And to have that vivid imagination, you have to practice visualization morning, noon and night. You have to practice scripting morning, noon and night. You have to practice affirmation morning, noon and night. You have to practice to be in control of your thoughts throughout the day. You have to practice to go to bed more consciously. You have to awake more consciously. And you have to be more aware that it is your own thought that is creating your reality. And that you can create your reality consciously. Also, you will come to be more aware that consciousness is the only reality. And that consciousness is your nothingness. It is your God self, the immortal you. And that immortal you is within. Therefore, you have to look within for the power to change your life for the better is within. So my brother and my sisters, always have a vivid imagination by practicing to use your imagination more and believing in yourself more, and practice having mental diets by living a positive and uplifting life, whereby your whole desire must be to bring value to humanity, because you realize that God in man is man's imagination. Therefore, we are all one. That's the reason why my brother and my sisters are always pointed to look to no other place but to look within yourself for true freedom, for true salvation, because real salvation is self-realization. So with that being said, my brother and my sister, I want to say, if this is the very first time that you're listening to me, and what I'm saying makes sense to you, it really resonating with you, and you would like to have a real vivid imagination to create your reality consciously, and you'd like to get more of this kind of teaching, I would say to you, if you haven't subscribed already, to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share this message. But just before I leave you, I want to let you know that this message I bring to you, that it is the single eye, yes, the single eye message of self-realization, of which Matthew 6:22 says that if your eye be single, your whole body be full of light. And my brothers and my sisters, I want to say to you, it is because that single eye has been opened in me, and I was filled with light when I ascend as a fiery being, and would have heard the unearthly wind after the great and mighty shaking. And that single eye opened in me, and I come to understand that when it is said that you shall change from mortal to immortality in a twinkling of an eye, that it is an opening of an eye where you would awake from the dream of life. Hadn't it been for that experience where I would have gone and burst my crown chakra and become invisible and experience the virgin birth and the resurrection and all of these things, I wouldn't have been here bringing this message to you. And always saying to you, do not let anyone brainwash or deceive you to make you believe that the symbol of the single eye above the pyramid, that it's an evil symbol. No, it is the symbol of the all-seeing eye of God in you, who is your imagination. For you would have an awakened imagination and come to realize that the eye represents the eye of the seers, the eye of the mystics, those who would ascend out of humanity into divinity and come back into that place of remembrance, because they would have break the realm of amnesia. Therefore, my brothers and my sisters, that's the reason why I always put my hand right above my crown chakra, saying to you that when you have the experience, that you will come to realize that it is the rising of the S-U-N in a S-O-N, and that it is the dawning of a new day in your life. For the sun, as in the S-U-N, parallels the human imagination, and the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun, there is no life and there is no light. And without the human imagination, there isn't anything made that was made. And the scriptures tell you in Psalms 84:11 that the Lord thy God is a sun and a shield, and no good thing will he withhold from you. And truly, the sun has been the source that has been powering all of humanity and will always power all of humanity. Therefore, the sun is what gives humanity all of their energy. Also, you're told in Malachi chapter 4 and verses 2 that the sun, as in the S-U-N of righteousness, shall arise in you with healing in his wings. That's the reason why when the sun has risen in me, I'm bringing healing to all of humanity and encouraging each and every one to use your mind power, which is your solar power, your sun power, your God power, your creative power, which is the sexual power. Use that power to achieve your every desire by having a vivid imagination. So with that being said, I want to say peace, love you all, I'm out.